You know, usually when we crack open a new source file for a deep dive, we're looking for patterns. We want to see some sort of consistency.
Right.
But I have to say, looking at this massive spreadsheet of NBA history, I mean, we have data going all the way back to 1947. The first thing that hits you isn't the pattern.
No.
It's the disruption. It's the thing at the very, very bottom that just breaks the mold.
You're talking about the entry for June 2025.
Exactly. The ink is, it's barely dry on this. We have to start right there. Because the 2025 NBA Finals didn't just give us a champion.
No, it felt like a validation of something bigger.
It did. It validated a completely different way of building a team. We are talking, of course, about the Oklahoma City Thunder.
And it is a massive moment for the league. And you're right, it's not just that they won, but how they won. This wasn't a team bought in free agency.
Not at all.
This wasn't a super team cobbled together over a single summer.
Mm-hmm.
This was a harvest.
A harvest. Oh, I like that. That's good. Because for years, we watched OKC hoard draft picks like they were preparing for the apocalypse.
Right, they were a running joke.
They were. They were the punchline of every trade deadline. But then, you know, you fast forward to 2025, and you have Coach Mark Danielle orchestrating this 7-game masterpiece against the Indiana Pacers.
And that series was a grind. I mean, 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
It came down to the absolute wire.
Which makes it even sweeter for them, doesn't it? You look at the Finals MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the face of this whole long game strategy. Watching him lift that trophy, it really did feel like a signal that the quick fix era of the NBA might be over.
It felt like a turning point.
But here's the kicker, and this is where the history gets messy. This is technically the franchise's first title since 1979.
Right. And that is a wound that hasn't quite healed up in the Pacific Northwest.
Not even a little bit.
If you trace the lineage, which, you know, we have to do to be accurate, the 1979 championship belongs to the Seattle Supersonics.
That's right.
The franchise relocated to Oklahoma City in 2008. So, in the record books, this is technically title number 2.
But for the city of Oklahoma City, for those fans, it's number 1.
Oh, absolutely. It's their first.
It's a complicated legacy. But that's sort of the mission for today, right? We aren't just reading a list of winners from a spreadsheet.
No, anyone can do that.
We want to unpack the how and the why. We want to understand why the league spent like 50 years being dominated by just 2 teams, why the 90s were basically a dictatorship, and why the 2020s have turned into absolute chaos.
Chaos is the right word. I mean, if you look at the landscape of winners from 1947 all the way to 2025, it really looks like a mountain range.
Okay, explain that.
You have 2 massive peaks that just tower over everything, a few smaller hills scattered around, and then a whole lot of, flat land where teams are just trying to survive.
Let's talk about those peaks, because if you're a fan of, say, the Atlanta Hawks or the Sacramento Kings, looking at this chart has got to be a little depressing.
Oh, it's brutal.
The league is so incredibly top-heavy.
It is the definition of an oligopoly. If you just, count the rings, the Boston Celtics are standing right at the summit.
With their win in 2024, just a year before this Thunder victory, they reached 18 championships.
18. That's a number that doesn't even feel real.
18. That is a ridiculous number, and the Lakers are staring right at their backs.
Right at them. The Los Angeles Lakers, and we're including their time in Minneapolis here, which is important, they have 17 titles.
Okay, so do the math on that for me.
So 35 championships shared between just 2 franchises.
35. We've had, roughly 80 seasons of this league?
Just about.
That means nearly 45% of NBA history ends with either green confetti or purple and gold confetti falling from the rafters. That is staggering.
It really is. It distorts the entire perception of success in the NBA.
How so?
Well, in other sports, like the NFL or MLB, you have dynasties, sure, but you don't have 2 teams that essentially own half the history of the entire sport.
Right. The Packers don't have 18 Super Bowls.
Exactly. And it also, it skews the conference balance. As of 2025, the Eastern Conference has 41 titles to the West's 38.
Which feels wrong, doesn't it? I mean, it feels like for the last 25 years, the West has been the dominant conference, the Wild West, right?
It has been. For most of the 21st century, the West has been a tougher road. But history's long. The East banked a massive surplus of championships, mostly in the 60s and 90s, that the West is still trying to catch up to.
And there's a weird clerical note about that West-East split. involving the year 1950, isn't there?
Oh, the 1950 season is a headache for historians. I mean, the Minneapolis Lakers won, but they were technically playing in the Central Division that year.
The Central Division,
Well,
which doesn't exist anymore.
No, it was a short-lived experiment. But for the sake of the East versus West tally, statisticians usually just, lump that Lakers win in with the West to keep the accounting clean.
Just a little asterisk.
It's a definite asterisk.
We love a good asterisk. Okay, so we've established the Titans, Celtics 18, Lakers 17. But we need to zoom in on how this happened, because it wasn't a polite taking of turns, was it?
Oh, not at all. This was a war.
It was the rivalry that built the league.
Absolutely. The Celtics and Lakers have met in the NBA Finals a staggering 12 times.
12.
To give you some context, the next most frequent matchup is the Lakers versus the Sixers, and that's only happened 6 times.
So Celtics-Lakers is literally double the next closest rivalry.
Double.
But when you look at the head-to-head record in the finals, it's not really a rivalry, is it? It's a beatdown.
It's pretty lopsided, yes. The Celtics lead the finals head-to-head 9-3.
Oof. If I'm a Lakers fan, I'm looking at that number and feeling a little sick. 9 losses to the same team on the biggest stage.
Well, the pain is concentrated. It really is. If you look at the timeline, the 1960s were essentially a horror movie for Los Angeles.
Horror movie.
They played the Celtics in the finals 7 times in that decade alone. 1959, 62, 63, 65, 66, 68, and 69.
Yeah. 7 times in 10 years. That is an absurd frequency. You can't get away from them.
And the Celtics won every single one.
Wait. All 7.
All 7.
That is psychological torture. I mean, imagine being Jerry West. Imagine being Elgin Baylor.
Yep.
You are objectively top-tier Hall of Fame talent. You do everything right. You get to the finals 7 times.
Yeah.
And you run into Bill Russell every single time.
It's the Sisyphus myth brought to life on a basketball court. I mean, pushing the boulder up the hill all year long just to have it roll back down on you in June.
And it was always the same story.
It was. No matter how well the Lakers played, the Celtics, specifically Bill Russell's defense and Red Auerbach's system, they just always had an answer.
But the Lakers did eventually punch back. The 80s were different. That was the Magic versus Bird era.
Exactly. The 1980s saved the rivalry. It made it a real rivalry. They met 3 times.
Right.
The Celtics won in '84, the famous Heat game in Boston. But the Lakers finally exercised their demons. They finally got over the hump. They won in 1985 and then again in 1987.
So they went 2 for 3 in the 80s. That's respectable. It evens things out a little bit.
It balanced the narrative. And then in the modern era, they split.
That's right.
Celtics won in 2008 with the big 3, Garnett, Pierce, Allen. And then the Lakers got their revenge in 2010 with Kobe and Pau Gasol.
That 2010 series was a grinder, a real rock fight. But I want to go back to 1969 for a second.
Okay.
Because you mentioned the Lakers lost again that year. But there is a detail in the source material that just screams tragedy.
You're looking at the italics in the MVP column.
I am. The losing MVP. This is just an incredible story.
This is one of the most fascinating anomalies in all of sports history. So 1969 was the first year the NBA decided to award a finals MVP trophy.
The very first one.
The very first one. The series goes to 7 games. The Lakers have a super team. They had acquired Wilt Chamberlain to pair with Jerry West and Elgin Baylor.
They were the favorites.
Overwhelming favorites. Game 7 was in L.A. at the Forum. They even had balloons in the rafters ready to drop for the victory celebration.
Oh, the hubris. Never have the balloons in the rafters.
Never. The Celtics saw the balloons and apparently got furious.
Yeah.
They used it as motivation. They won the game 108-106. But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Jerry West played so incredibly well. He averaged nearly 38 points per game in that series. He had a 40-point triple-double in Game 7 that the voters couldn't bring themselves to give the MVP to a Celtic.
So they gave it to West.
They gave it to West on the losing team.
The only time in NBA history a player on the losing team has won Finals MVP.
The only time. And it remains this ultimate consolation prize. It's like, sorry we ruined your dream and wasted your prime, but here's a trophy for your troubles.
Brutal. Absolute brutality. But, that dominance by the Celtics, it brings us to our next big theme. We have to talk about what makes a dynasty.
Right. Anatomy of a dynasty.
Because the Celtics of the 60s didn't just beat the Lakers, they beat everybody.
They broke the math of the league. I mean, if you look at the consecutive championships section of our data, there is a number that just looks like a typo.
Yeah, it doesn't seem real.
The Boston Celtics won 8 consecutive titles from 1959 to 1966.
8. That could be a row. I mean, in the modern NBA, winning 2 in a row is considered almost impossible.
A three-peat is legendary.
Right. 3 is the stuff of legend. 8 is just It's greedy.
It's a monopoly.
Yeah.
And what's so incredible is the transition within the dynasty. They started with Red Auerbach coaching, but by the end of the run, Bill Russell was the player coach.
He was coaching the team while playing.
While playing and grabbing 20 rebounds a game.
Yeah.
They won again in 68 and 69 with Russell as the coach on the floor.
So let me get this straight. Between 1957 and 1969, a 13-year span, they won 11 titles.
11 in 13 years. Correct.
That's not a dynasty, that's an empire. But they weren't technically the first dynasty, right? If we go way back to the black and white footage days.
Right.
Minneapolis was doing work before Russell even showed up in the league.
We have to give credit where credit is due. The Minneapolis Lakers. George Mikan was the first true superstar of the league, the first real giant.
The original big man.
He was. And they pulled off the league's very first three-peat from 1952 to 1954.
And they had won in 49 and 50 before that, right?
Uh-huh. So 5 titles in 6 years. A truly dominant run.
Now, you touched on 1950 earlier as being a weird year. I want to dig into that. You said they were in the Central Division. How did the playoffs even work with 3 divisions?
It was a logistical nightmare. I mean, math is stubborn, right? You can't have a normal 4-team semifinal bracket when you have 3 division winners.
And an odd number.
So the league, in its infinite wisdom at the time, decided that the team with the best regular season record would get a bye straight to the finals.
A free pass to the finals? You just get to skip around.
A free pass. That spot went to the Syracuse Nationals, so they got to sit at home and rest. Meanwhile, the Minneapolis Lakers, who won the Central, had to play a semifinal series against the Western champs, the Anderson Packers.
Wait, the Anderson Packers?
The Anderson Packers, a team that doesn't exist anymore.
That seems incredibly unfair. The Lakers have to grind out a whole series while Syracuse is just chilling.
It was totally unfair. But it didn't matter. The Lakers beat Anderson, and then they marched into the finals and beat their well-rested Syracuse team 4-2.
Wow.
It just goes to show how dominant Mikan was. The format was basically rigged against them, and they still won the whole thing.
That's amazing. Okay, so we have the Mikan era, we have the Russell era, but for a huge chunk of our listeners, the word dynasty means one thing.
Oh, yeah.
It means red jerseys, it means the Alan Parsons Project intro music, and it means the 1990s.
The Chicago Bulls. The double three-peat.
Even the phrase double three-peat sounds mythological. It sounds like something out of a fantasy novel.
It really is the gold standard of modern dominance, and the structure of it is what makes it so unique.
Lay it out.
They win 3 straight championships.
Yeah.
1991, 1992, 1993. Then, Michael Jordan retires to go play baseball.
And the entire league breathes a collective sigh of relief.
Everyone does. The Houston Rockets sneak in and grab 2 titles while he's gone.
Right, the Hakeem Olajuwon years.
Exactly. But then Jordan comes back. He gets his legs under him for a bit. And then they rip off another 3 straight. 1996, 1997, 1998.
There is a stat about the Bulls in the finals that I think defines them even better than the 6 rings. It's the loss column.
It's the 0. The Chicago Bulls are 6-0 in the NBA Finals. But it goes deeper than that.
It does.
They never even required a Game 7.
That is the wild part to me. Every other dynasty we've talked about, the Celtics, the Lakers, even the modern Warriors, they've all been pushed to the brink at some point.
They faced elimination games in the final.
Right? The Bulls.
Never. They were the ultimate closers. It was like, once they got you in a series, it was over. There was no coming back. And you have to look at the ringless generation they created.
Oh, the list of victims.
We talked about the Lakers losing to the Celtics in the 60s, but the Bulls denied an entire era of superstars from ever reaching the top.
It's a Hall of Fame quality list.
It really is. I mean, they beat the Lakers in 91. That was Magic Johnson's last hurrah. They beat the Clyde Drexler-led Blazers in 92. The Suns in 93. That was Charles Barkley's best shot.
Poor Charles.
Then the Sonics in 96. Gary Payton and Sean Kemp. And then the Utah Jazz twice in 97 and 98.
Karl Malone and John Stockton, 2 of the all-time greats.
And they never got a ring. I mean, you have to ask the question. If Michael Jordan decides he really likes baseball and stays retired.
Did the Utah Jazz have 2 championships? Does Charles Barkley have one? Does Patrick Ewing get one?
Almost certainly.
Yeah.
The 90s were a closed shop. It was just a foregone conclusion. If you were on the Bulls, you were playing for second place.
And Phil Jackson was the architect for all of them.
Phil Jackson on the bench, and Michael Jordan was the finals MVP for all 6.
Yeah.
Every single time.
Just the perfect storm of coaching, mental toughness, and, maybe the greatest talent the sport's ever seen.
Absolutely.
So we leave the certainty of the 90s and we move into the 2000s and 2010s. We had the Kobe Shaq Lakers. We had the Spurs dynasty, which was more of an every other year kind of dynasty.
A very quiet dynasty.
Very quiet. But then we hit the mid-2010s. And this is segment 3, modern history and the shift to parity.
This is where the modern NBA really takes shape. We entered the era of the Warriors and the Cavaliers.
So when we talked about how the Celtics and Lakers played a lot, but they never played 4 years in a row.
That's the distinction right there. From 2015 to 2018, the NBA Finals was literally just a standing appointment between Golden State and Cleveland.
It was like a TV show getting renewed every year.
It was. 4 consecutive years.
Yeah.
Steph Curry versus LeBron James. It felt like the rest of the league was just, window dressing.
Yeah, we're just playing out the string until June.
Pretty much. And the Warriors were clearly the dominant force in that rivalry.
Yeah.
They won 3 of the 4 meetings, 2015, 2017, and 2018.
But the one they lost, oh man, 2016, that's the one everyone remembers.
That is the historic anomaly. I mean, you had the 73-win Warriors, the best regular season record of all time.
They were up 3-1 in the series. It was over.
It was over. And the Cavaliers stormed back to win that series 4-3. It ended a massive, massive championship drought for the city of Cleveland, not just in basketball, but in all major sports.
With LeBron James as MVP, of course.
Of course. And that one series, that comeback, it prevented the Warriors from having a four-peat, which would have put them in that Bill Russell territory.
It really would have. But once that rivalry broke up, LeBron went to LA, Kevin Durant left the Warriors, the league just broke wide open.
Yes.
We entered what the notes here call the recent revolving door.
And this is the era we are living in right now. I'd call it the era of parity. If you look at the champions starting from 2019, the whole concept of a repeat champion just vanishes.
Let's run down the list because the variety is actually startling compared to the eras we just spent all this time discussing.
Okay, 2019, the Toronto Raptors. Kawhi Leonard comes in for 1 year, leads them to a title against the Warriors, wins MVP, and then just leaves.
It was like a one-and-done mercenary mission.
Yeah.
And it was successful. Then 2020.
2020 is the bubble. The Los Angeles Lakers. LeBron and Anthony Davis win it all in Disney World against the Miami Heat. A very strange year.
A very strange title. Okay, 2021.
The Milwaukee Bucks. Giannis Antetokounmpo has that legendary performance, drops 50 points in the closeout game against the Phoenix Suns.
Amazing. 2022.
The Warriors have a resurgence. The old guard, Steph, Clay, Draymond, they come back and beat the Celtics. And Steph Curry finally gets his finals MVP.
Which was a big moment for his legacy. 2023.
The Denver Nuggets. Nikola Jokic and the Nuggets just dominate the Miami Heat. It's the first title in their franchise's history.
And 2024.
The Boston Celtics. They finally get over the hump. They break the tie with the Lakers by beating the Dallas Mavericks.
And finally, that brings us back to where we started, 2025.
The OKC Thunder.
So 7 seasons, 7 different organizations hoisting the Larry O'Brien Trophy.
We have not seen a back-to-back champion since the Warriors did it in 2017-2018.
We see repeat franchises, the Lakers and Warriors popped up again, but no team has been able to hold the throne for 2 straight years.
Not at all.
Why do you think that is? Is it the salary cap? Is the talent just better and more spread out?
It's a combination of a few things. The new collective bargaining agreements, the CBAs, make it very, very punitive from a financial standpoint to keep 3 superstars together for a long time.
So it basically forces teams to break up sooner.
It does. But also, you're right, the talent pool is just deeper and more widespread.
Yeah.
You have legitimate superstars in Milwaukee, in Denver, in Dallas, in OKC, in Boston, in Philly. The days of one team having, say, 3 of the top 5 players in the world, those seem to be over, at least for now.
It's definitely stressful for the GMs trying to build a dynasty, but it's amazing for the fans. I mean, you genuinely don't know who's going to win in October.
It keeps the stakes incredibly high every single postseason. It feels like anyone in the top tier has a real shot.
All right, let's get into the weeds a little bit. Segment 4, deep cuts, quirks, and trivia. Because you can't look at 80 years of history without finding some weird stuff.
Oh, there are some real gems in here.
Let's start with the hardware itself. We call it the Larry O'Brien Trophy. We see it every June. It's that iconic golden ball going into the net. But it wasn't always called that, was it?
No, not at all. From 1947 all the way up to 1976, the winning team received the Walter A. Brown Trophy.
Walter A. Brown. Not a name that rolls off the tongue quite like Larry O'Brien.
No, but he was the original owner of the Boston Celtics and a key figure in founding the league, so he's very important. The current trophy design, the one we all know, was introduced in 1977.
Okay.
But it wasn't actually renamed to honor Larry O'Brien, who is the former commissioner, until 1984.
So if you see those old photos of Bill Russell celebrating with all those championships.
He's not holding the Larry O'Brien.
Right.
No, he's holding the Walter Brown Trophy, which looks much more like a traditional cup or a silver bowl.
Interesting. Okay, let's talk about the league structure again. We mentioned that weird central division, but the league itself wasn't even called the NBA at the very start.
That's right. From 1946 to 1949, it was the BAA, the Basketball Association of America. There was a rival league called the NBL, the National Basketball League. They eventually merged to form the NBA as we know it.
And in those BAA years, the playoffs were a little confusing.
Confusing is a kind word. It was a three-stage tournament. And in the very early years, the two semifinal winners played each other in the finals. But the bracket wasn't strictly East versus West.
So it was just based on seeding?
It was based on seeding that crossed division lines. It was all very experimental. They were figuring it out as they went along.
Speaking of experimental, we have to talk about the shortened seasons. Because external events, lockouts, pandemics have forced the NBA to change the rules on the fly. And I have a theory about this.
Okay, let's hear it.
My theory is that chaos favors experience. Look at the winners of the shortened seasons.
Okay, let's test it out. 1999, first major lockout season, only 50 games.
Who won? The San Antonio Spurs. A team built on discipline and defense. David Robinson and a young Tim Duncan, vets.
That's a valid point. Okay, 2012, another lockout.
Yeah.
66 games that year.
The Miami Heat. LeBron, Wade, Bosh, veteran superstars in their prime.
Okay. And the last one, 2020, the COVID-19 bubble in Orlando.
The Lakers. Led by LeBron again, one of the oldest, most veteran-heavy teams in the league.
You might be onto something. It seems that when the routine breaks, when you have fewer games or a strange, isolated environment, the teams with the most adults in the room seem to come out on top.
Exactly. Young teams need rhythm. They need the full 82 games to figure things out. Veteran teams just need the gym to be open.
That's a solid theory. I like that.
All right, let's trace some lineages. Because looking at this list, I see team names that don't exist anymore. And it can be confusing for a new fan to realize that the Golden State Warriors actually started in Philadelphia.
Relocation is the hidden story of the NBA. The Warriors are a prime example. They won the very first title in 1947 as the Philadelphia Warriors.
Right.
Then they moved west to become the San Francisco Warriors and finally rebranded as the Golden State Warriors.
What about the 76ers? They seem like such a Philly staple.
They are now. But that franchise actually started as the Syracuse Nationals. The Nats won the title in 1955. They moved to Philadelphia in 1963 to fill the void that was left by the Warriors leaving for the West Coast.
That's wild. So Philly lost a championship team and then immediately gained another one.
Correct. A very strange trade-off.
And the Wizards? Their history is a total mess.
Oh, the Wizards have a complete identity crisis in their history. They started as the Chicago Packers.
The Packers, like Green Bay.
Yep. Then they were the Chicago Zephyrs. Then they moved to become the Baltimore Bullets. Then they became the Washington Bullets, who won the title in 1978 with Wes Unseld, and then finally rebranded to the Wizards in the late 90s.
So that 1978 Bullets title belongs to the modern Wizards franchise.
It does. Same lineage.
And we already touched on the Sonics Thunder connection.
Which is still, I think, the most contentious and emotionally charged relocation in league history.
For sure. Okay, one last bit of trivia before we wrap this up.
Yeah.
We talked about the Bulls being a perfect six seal in the finals. Are there any other teams with a perfect finals record?
There are, but it's mostly a result of very small sample sizes.
These are the one-hit wonders.
Exactly. The Baltimore Bullets, and this is not the Wizards franchise, but an original team that folded back in 1954. They went to the finals once in 1948 and won. So they are 1-0 forever.
Undefeated for eternity. Put it on the tombstone.
Then you have the Sacramento Kings franchise, which is technically perfect. They won way back in 1951 when they were the Rochester Royals.
And they haven't been back to the finals since?
Not once.
Oh.
So they are sitting on a perfect 1-0 record for over 70 years now.
That is a very, very long time to protect a perfect record.
It is. And then you have the recent ones. The Toronto Raptors are 1-0 after their 2019 run,
Right.
and the Denver Nuggets are 1-0 after 2023.
So the strategy for perfection is simple. Go once, win the whole thing, and then just never go back.
Avoid the heartbreak by simply avoiding the finals altogether. It's a bold strategy.
It works for the record books. Okay, let's bring this all home. We've looked at the landscape from 1947 to 2025. We have the Titans, Boston, and LA hoarding nearly half of all the trophies. And then we have this huge field of scrappy winners, one-and-dones, and everything in between.
It really is the big two and then everyone else. But what stands out to me the most is the shift over time. The first 50 years of the league were defined by these powerful, long-lasting
The
dynasties.
Celtics, the Lakers, the
Right,
Bulls.
and the last 6 or 7 years have been defined by, well, next man up.
By chaos.
Exactly. And that brings us right back to the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Right. They are young, they are loaded with talent and draft picks, they just won their first ring. The question everyone is asking is this 2015 all over again? Is this the start of the next great Thunder dynasty?
Or is it 2011? Remember the Dallas Mavericks? They won a brilliant title with Dirk Nowitzki, but they never got back to the top.
That's the scary part, isn't it? In this modern era of parity, even a team as good and as well-positioned as OKC isn't guaranteed a repeat.
They aren't. Not at all. But if any team is built to break this parity curse, you could argue it's them. They have the youth and the assets to keep reloading.
So here's the final provocative thought for you listening at home. We grew up on super teams. We grew up knowing it was probably going to be Jordan or Kobe or LeBron standing there at the end. We found a certain comfort in the dynasty.
We did. But the expert perspective here is that the era of the super team dynasty might actually be dead. The system itself, the salary cap, the luxury tax, it's all designed to kill it. We might be in a permanent state of rotation where the window to win is only open for 18 months at a time. Unless we're just waiting for the next anomaly, the next Bill Russell or Michael Jordan to emerge from the 2026 draft class, look at all the salary cap rules, look at the parity, and just say, I don't care, I'm winning anyway.
And honestly, that's the player I really want to watch.
Me too.
Thank you so much for diving into this history with us. It's a lot of dates, a lot of names, but every single one of those banners tells a story. Check the show notes if you want to see the full list and settle some bets with your friends. We'll see you next time on The Deep Dive.
Goodbye, everyone.